Yes, Emotional Debris, episode 6. This is Draz who you're hearing. Death is what you're fearing. I'm about to tackle your dark side. Buckle your belt for the bumpy ride. Turn off if you got a weak mind. Let's hold hands, walk these twisted lines. Cause Draz is gonna kick it to you. Draz is gonna stick it to you. Draz is gonna whip it to you. This is a DMX instrumental. Are you ready? No love for me in this place, I've got no love left for this place. I'm tired of this human disgrace, sick of the rat race. My talents are going to waste, tired of having no mates. No boys are going on dates, no buzz left in the thrill of the chase. I walk around with a sour taste, look of disgust all over my face. My passion has all but gone now, I'm about ready for another nervous breakdown. You'll find me between the table and the sofa face down, dead from a broken heart or some kind of stroke. My spirit is crushed and I lost all hope, trying to get my words out I choked. This is my suicide note, fell asleep but didn't wake up on the couch, didn't turn up for work, pigs had to break into my house. The note read, I'm tired of life, tired of being left on the shelf, sick in my heart that every woman I ever loved ended up with somebody else, tired that when I screamed nobody came through. I told you this was happening and the prophecy came true, tortured by my ego, now you see the proof. I've been messed up in the head ever since I was a youth. Maybe it ain't me who's messed up, maybe it's you, cause there's two kinds of people, the righteousness and those with no soul who are evil. I'm not real, I'm a figment of your imagination, I'm transmitting from the afterlife through digital vibrations. Who is Draz, who is Dwayne? One's my persona and one's my government name. One I created to keep you at a distance, the other is here to cause revolution and fight the resistance. I'll let you decide who is who, and for now I'll continue to roll with the selected few. I'm the good, the bad and the ugly. I need good love, not just girls who want it with me. I need people to increase my spirituality. I'd like friends to become my family. I'm sick of your mediocrity and banality. This world is full of hatred and savagery, and I'm a realist, I stay true to the craft. Abstract when I'm spitting the facts, so don't get lost on my unbeaten track. Look sharp, stay close to my back, cause you never know what vampires will attract. Watch my tongue as I go on the lash, cause Dwayne's got a pact, never to retract or detract, till I earn a stack of cash to release me from the black. So now I'll get by on a snack. The rap industry is full of artists who are whack. Keep your fake record deal, I make lyrics to tell you how I feel. This is my dark side, this is my ego, this is my self-pride. Buckle up as we go into another lesson of 45 minutes. And there's more to this podcast than just twisted lyrics, yes. Love this instrumental by DMX, man. Shame DMX's lyrics are shit and he keeps putting barking dogs on his record. Never mind, I'll keep nicking his music. Wicked. Alright, Emotional Debris, episode 6. This is Dwayne, or this is the alter ego that you know as Draz. Trying to make sense of entropy. Entropy is chaos, the entropy of the brain. As Plato said, are we humans in a cave? And what we think is reality are the shadows on the wall, dancing in the light of the fire. There's one for you to think about, but what about this? What if it goes beyond the campfire, beyond the shadows, beyond the cave, beyond the entrance to the cave, and out into something else? That'll pickle your brain thinking about that one. So we all have an ego. Some people have a big ego, you know. You want to smash their ego because it's too big. And the ego is the use of the word I. It's me. It's who am I. It's who we identify with. Our race, our religion, our background, our sexuality, our class, our likes, our dislikes, and it's the distinction of self. It's us identifying as human, and it's identifying with the limits of the body, and it's the physical plane. Often the body is the physical plane, but the ego is the spiritual plane within that. It's something that we can't measure as such, and the body is really what separates us from the universe, and the thoughts of who we are what make up the ego and the consciousness, and we can only see through our own eyes. We can't see through other people's eyes. Self-inquiry is the path to enlightenment, and your name doesn't really identify you, because you were born without it. You were born without a name, and you could quite easily go and change your name and you would still be you, unless you go through some sort of, like, you know, trans-op to become the opposite sex and then totally change your character. You'll always be you in a sense, if that makes any sense. And we go through a constant rebirth. The human body is going through a constant rebirth of cells. And us as people, our ego goes through a constant rebirth. We're always reinventing ourselves. How we feel will create how we feel about ourselves tomorrow. This will change how we feel tomorrow. This will shape our identity even further. Experiences will shape our identity even further on a regular basis. Our ideas go through a rebirth as well, along with our ego and with our consciousness. And they're all subject to change, because often everything we live around, it's all within a man-made construct. But our ego and our consciousness is a natural construct that everything on this planet has, every living organism. Hindus believe that even rocks have organisms. Rocks have a consciousness. Don't know how true it is, if that could be measured, whether they have a soul. And if you go back to early religion and early spirituality, it was about the natural sciences. People believed in nature. Everything around them had a consciousness, whether it be the weather, the rocks, the earth, the water, whatever. There was that Japanese scientist that did those experiments where he got cans of water and he said to it, "I hate you," and then he froze it, and he got another one and he said, "I love you," and he froze it. And then when he took them out of the freezer and he inspected the particles and the shape of the frost, he noticed that the one that he said he hates was sharp and prickly, and then the one that he told that he loved was smooth and perfectly formed. And there's a theory that all this hatred that's going around in the world is spreading through our water, and it's creating more anger, and we're drinking angry water rather than water with love in it. Maybe every time you have a glass from now on, tell the glass of water that you love it and see how that feels. I'm not saying the water's going to answer you back, but maybe it might make you feel better inside. I don't know. It's just an idea, just a theory. Some people identify with negative qualities. Some of us identify with positive qualities. They're just thoughts. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a negative person. I have a lot of negative qualities and negative thoughts. A lot less than I used to. As we age, our ego gets smaller, and we shave off those rough edges. And we start to form an identity as well about other people that we meet. We start to form an idea about their ego and their qualities. Really, it's just a perception and a collection of thoughts. But where does the ego lie? Is it our spirit? Is it the chemicals in our brain? When we die, do we take our ego on to the next life with us? Is it transcendental? Does it just... Energy can't be destroyed. It can only change shape or form. Does this mean that it goes up into the universe, into a different kind of cosmic energy? And whether you've got a negative ego, does your negative ego have an effect on the cosmos and the universe and everything else around you? Does it have an effect on the earth when you bury the body? If you've got a negative ego and negative particles within your body, does this spread negativity into the worms? I don't know. Are the thinker and the thoughts the same thing? You know, I think as we get older, our thoughts become more refined. Some people anyway. You don't want to be that 40-year-old, 20-year-old, if that makes sense. You've got to age properly. There's this term called ego death that was developed by Carl Jung. Carl Jung, the great philosopher. I think we go back about 100 years with the Carl Jung ideas. Look him up, there's some great ideas by Carl Jung. And he says that ego death is when someone you love betrays you, which we're going to come back later on. And that loving somebody reduces their complexity. So when you meet someone, at first they seem really complicated, and the more that you get to know each other and the more you love each other, the less complicated that individual seems to become. And the self, the idea of the self, can rebuild the ego after it's died. So it goes through a rebirth after your ego's been battered. Most of us who have been in a relationship that's not been very good, when we then break up with that person, the ego has to rebuild itself. Some people never get over it. They stay permanently destroyed or permanently scarred. Me, I'll say I wear battle scars from some of the shitty relationships I've been in. And then you have voluntary ego death as well. And this comes through learning new things. Excuse me. This is where you learn new things all the time. And you decide that you need to change your identity. And you need to change your ways and learn from the error of your ways. And your ego will change because of this. So consciousness. Our brains have two hemispheres. One has the detail and order, and the other is the chaos. The right side is negative, and the left side is positive. These feelings, oceanic disillusionment and the cosmos of being one, that comes from the left. And the right is our generic human brain. You know, we're still talking monkeys. We still have part of a lizard brain within us. The lizard brain within the human is what makes us suspicious of people and what makes us paranoid. It's like a defense mechanism, ready for you to run away, ready for your tail to drop off and you to scarper. Aldous Huxley, I talk about him quite a lot. He wrote that book, The Doors of Perception, at the end of the 50s. To remind any of you who don't watch me regular, Aldous Huxley wrote the book Brave New World. Go and look it up. It's scary. We're kind of getting towards living in Brave New World. It's better than Orwell. If you like Orwell, you'll love Aldous Huxley. But anyway, when he wrote The Doors of Perception in the 50s, this was around the time that LSD was found. And he was one of the first people to experience LSD and document it. And in his writings, he said he was transported to this alternate reality where everything was more meaningful, and it was a divine eternity, as he described it. And he kind of struggled to come to terms with it as an intellectual. I mean, Aldous Huxley had a spoken and written IQ of over 180. So for someone of that intellect to be able to struggle to come to terms with the LSD experience and wrestle with the idea of what is consciousness and spirituality and the ego. And he wrote it like this as a quote: "Like the earth of 200 years ago, our mind still has its darkest unmapped places. Africa, Borneo, the Amazonian basin. In relation to the fauna of these regions, we are not yet zoologists, we are mere naturalists and collectors of specimens. The fact is unfortunate, but we might have to accept it and make the best of it. Knowledge is provisional. This means what you know now might change tomorrow. What we know now isn't what we might know tomorrow, therefore it's provisional. And this can help you change your ego and change your consciousness. And you've got to trust in yourself that what you're learning is going to improve you and shave off the negative parts and get rid of your big ego and smash down the negative parts of your consciousness and the negative parts of your ego to be able to become more spiritual. Authority, I've got to be careful how I say this. Authority is a lie. And for all of us, it's going to really, I can't get my words out again tonight. Authority is a lie, and it will lead to ruin. Institutions seek to maximise control, not to enlighten you or to save your soul. Ideologies are poisonous. Experience and the moment is what is real. But what about memories? So they say that the human brain can hold 300 petabytes of information. So this would be like recording live TV continually for over 500 years in terms of memory. And so it's important that we make the best of our lives and our experiences, and we store those memories. People take the piss out of me all the time and say, "Oh, Dwayne, you're too nostalgic. You're nothing but a shadow of your memories." Maybe that's because I value my memories. Maybe that's because my petabytes are good, because I don't fill my head with loads of junk. Look, there's two kinds of people on this planet right now, or in Western society and developed world that we're living in. There's two kinds of people, right? There's those who just want to consume everything and just want to sit and watch reality TV and be consumed by mediocrity and banality and not really care about anyone else, and are just kind of zombies, if for use of a better word. They're kind of like an empty shell. Their consciousness is very small. Their ego is probably too big for how small their consciousness is, and how small their spiritual side is. And then you got the other side of the world, the other kind of people, who are like me, who are seeking answers and enlightenment, who are not out to consume every living thing on this planet, who are not swept up by consumerism. My mum takes me shopping and she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know really. What do you want for your birthday?" "Yeah, I don't know. Not really." The kids I teach ask me, "What do you want, Dwayne? Do you want loads of money?" I'm like, "No, not really. What I want is to be happy. What I want is for the world to be happy. What I want is for everyone to be equal and people not to suffer anymore." That's your two kinds of people on this planet. I think that's more important to me, is to see people not suffering, and for us as a human species to move forward together. I guess I was inspired by Star Trek as a kid. When I used to watch Star Trek, in Star Trek they live in this utopian society, don't they, where nobody's got money. Money don't exist in the Star Trek universe. And instead of the pursuit of money and wealth, they're in pursuit of enlightenment and spirituality and harmony between them and everyone else in the universe, to pull everybody together. They're in search of learning, to be able to learn new things about themselves and everything else out there within the universe or the multiverse or whatever. And I think that's what's more important to me than money. As long as you got enough to get by. I mean, not saying I want to suffer and earn a pissy minimum wage and not move forward. Yeah, there's things I need. A roof over my head, food in my belly, trainers that are not shabby, clothes to go running in that don't chafe me or whatever. But I'm not one of these people who's like a pure money seeker who that's the only thing that motivates me. Love motivates me. Ideologies, we just said that ideologies are poisonous. Experience and the moment are what's real. But the psychedelic experience dissolves science because it makes the user feel complete and at oneness with the universe. And it's destructive to the people who are dominating us, because we as a Western society are becoming a cog, and we're pouring the best years of our life and our genius into serving institutions and those who dominate us. And we're being emotionally and intellectually manipulated by the state, and it's sucking us and draining us like a battery. So when I say we're in the Matrix, we're not being controlled by robots in some pod as such, like being in the Matrix, but we are being controlled, and we are having the life sucked out of us like a battery. There's got to be a better way forward for humanity than the way that we're living now, wasn't there? To quote Terence McKenna, we need chaos, and this is how the human thrives. Do you think I could have done any of this in the Soviet Union? No. I need society that is on the brink of meltdown to be able to feel this way. And it's healthier for certain individuals in the banal state to feel like that. And that's kind of, if you look at rock and roll and all the musical movements that came after it, it's kind of, within the chaos, people find something else to enjoy and focus on. I think that's what McKenna's commenting on. And he says you can taste the music, it's in the air. We need to seize this opportunity, because if we continue as we are, we're doomed, falling into an abyss. This podcast that I put out every week, really, like I've said before, it's me with a little skinny rope throwing it out to humanity, trying to pull you back. But the rope's getting greasy, and there's sort of like too many people on the end of the rope for me to pull in, and my arms are getting tired. And I've gone and tried to tie it around a tree, and it's starting to pull the tree out, it's uprooting it, and people are starting to slide back. My feet are slipping in the mud towards the abyss, and I'm slipping into the abyss with everyone else, and I'm screaming, just dig your claws in, pull, pull, pull towards me. I'm shouting to the people behind me, come on, give me a hand with this rope, and everybody's just walking past. They're like, Dwayne, man, you're just mental. You're just mental. They don't care. They're watching the rest of humanity slip into the abyss as well. Is it just me? Am I just mental? Am I the only one that's noticing that humanity is falling into a giant black hole? Am I the only person who cares about it? I feel like that film where he's the news presenter and he says, I want you to go to your window and hang out and scream out of the window, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. But, you know, I'm just beating my head against a brick wall, and it's kind of like we're doomed. We're like the Jews going to the train with suitcases in our hand, as though everything's going to be alright. And the fate of the planet, you know, we're too forgiving of gangsterism and the dominators that are above us, and the system of control, and this enforced idiocracy that's being put on us by television in banality and mediocrity. You've got to claim your identity and act on it without regret, because our culture is sort of reinforcing infantilism. I'm seeing it more and more. Geordie Shore, it reinforces infantilism, moronic behaviour. There's more and more morons per square metre than there's ever been. We're breeding more morons. You know, I swear to God, some people should just be neutered and sterilised to stop them breeding more idiots. Or, you know, we should just have, like, forced lobotomies on all the idiots. Full frontal lobotomy. The Jeremy Kyle show. When you come out at the end of the Jeremy Kyle show, you should fall down a chute into some sort of lab, into a chair, and they get a drill and they put it in the front of your head and give you a full frontal lobotomy. And then you fall out of that chair into another one where they give you some dental sterility treatment, and then you fall out of a chute into a chain gang on the side of the road where you're just digging holes. That would probably be the best thing for humanity. And then the civilised people who are not morons and not idiots and not infantile can just carry on with life. Do you know what I mean? Ideology is poisoning the planet, man. Don't follow people. You can follow me if you want, I ain't always right, but don't follow people. Pets follow people. You've got to lead your own path, carve your own path out. People are lost. There's so many people that are lost, and so they choose to follow the idiots. They follow blindly, you know. Stop following other people, because following is obsolete. It's what people used to do hundreds of years ago in ideology. Follow religions, follow cults and stuff like this. It's becoming obsolete. Find your own consciousness and your own spirituality and move forward. You know, stop being a mass consumer, because it's destroying the planet. None of it's going to bring you happiness. That iPhone 8 that you just bought ain't really any better than your iPhone 7, but it's destroying the planet and ain't really going to make you any happier just to be some shiny idiot with the brand new phone. You know, to have a brand new pair of trainers every couple of weeks ain't really going to make you any happier, is it? Spend money on experiences, not materialism. Do you know what I mean? We're producing more than we need. We've got to retool our values. Go and buy old stuff. Old stuff's just as good. Why do you need a brand new car? The car they brought out last year is cheaper and it works just as good. Do you know what I mean? Antique furniture's beautiful. Probably lasts you longer. It was meant to last. Not like the crap that we're producing now, destroying the planet. We don't need to. You know, it's like this fetishism for new stuff and it ain't needed. And we're consuming TV and media as well. It's like you're just a bunch of morons with some of the stuff you watch. How about you start generating instead? Generating ideas. Generating thoughts and feelings that are genuine instead of just rehashing and regurgitating the crap that you're seeing on Facebook. Do you understand me? You're not owned. You belong to you. You are your own person. Create your own identity. Stop sucking the identity from other people. Stop letting other people create identities for you. I've got two identities. I've got Dwayne and I've got Draz. Who I am, I don't know. I was struggling with that. Been struggling with this since I was a kid. I'm this kind of person who's always in search of answers. But the more and more that I look for answers, the more I find questions. That's why the picture on the advert for this podcast was a guy with a maze in his brain. I feel like the closer and closer that I get to the exit, the bigger and bigger the maze keeps getting. And I'm screaming out, trying to break out of this reality. But it ain't going away, is it? It's just this aesthetic agenda. And without it, we've created an animal house. It's what it is. It's like open day at the zoo on this planet at the moment. Do you understand me? And this is why people want to escape. Everyone's trying to escape in some way. People are trying to escape through sex, drugs and syncopated music. Love is a drug. And withdrawal from love has the same effects as heroin. Sleeplessness, vomiting, the shakes, the consumption of your thoughts. Me, myself, I'm a seeker of the spirit, a seeker of the soul, a seeker of truth. And I'm searching for answers, trying to understand, and I'm looking for a path. And we have to integrate everything we do into a life of a spiritual path. Try and bring it all together. I mean, I've heard someone say, try and integrate washing your dishes and doing your housework into a spiritual path. I don't know how that's possible. I'll figure it out. The spiritual and material are really one. The inside and the cage, they're really one, but you've got to get them to work in harmony together. So through some of my videos, you might have saw how I talked about your mental health can affect your physical health and vice versa. If you're physically ill, you feel down a lot. If you're down a lot, your body feels run down a lot as well. That's why I started running, because I had a mental health problem. So I did a Forrest Gump out the door. Me and my missus had an argument over money. I ran out the door, didn't know why I was running or where I was running to. 2 years later, 2.5 years later, I was running up mountains for charity. Doing it 2 laps of a mountain for 2.5 hours running. And it's become more than just a hobby now. I'm like semi-professional athlete out of it, over something that started as a mental health problem. We don't fully understand mental health. We really don't. Still now. Everyone's path to enlightenment is different. So I just told you there that I started running for enlightenment and to sort out my mental health. That's not everyone's path to enlightenment. We can't all do that. You got to find what it is. What is your path to enlightenment? Because there's many roads to this universal cosmic oneness that we're all trying to, well, not everyone's trying to get to, that everybody should be aiming towards. The universal cosmic oneness that we should be going towards. Alright? Of love and compassion and empathy. Because I'm noticing that these things are disappearing from society. It's not just me, it's not just because I'm a recluse. I've said this to other people and they've noticed it as well. Yeah, love, compassion and empathy are disappearing fast. Just let go of what doesn't let you grow. And the body, it houses the spiritual consciousness. So you got to look after your temple. You got to look after your temple so that you can spend more time in it. Alright, if your temple is shoddy and you don't sweep it up often enough, then when you walk in there barefoot in your temple to go and meditate, you're going to get crap all over your feet. Do you understand me? So look after your body as the temple more frequently. Do some exercise, eat well, eat right. Don't consume drugs. Don't consume too much alcohol. Says me who smokes 20 tabs a day. You got to accept that you're dying right now. Bit by bit. As we speak, you are dying. I am dying as we are saying this. And think about what's after. That's what a lot of these Hindu guys do. Hindu doo-doo. And Buddhists, they think about what's after death rather than what's before it. And then when you accept it, visualize your own death and accept it. And then come back to where you are now. And then once you've done that, you start to live properly. So I've said this before, I don't fear death. I fear not living. I fear not loving. I fear that being just one spirit, when I'm trying to make people realise that we're all one with the resonance and the frequency of the universe. I mean, Bill Hicks was saying this years ago in his comedy. What was it he said? Today, a young man on acid realised that we're all one slow vibration. Something along them lines. And that we're all thinking collectively. You got to step through the doors of perception. I mean, you'll notice I ain't posted anything on Facebook really a lot recently, and I ain't complained a lot on Facebook either. I just got tired of it. I realised that people ain't listening, that you can't switch people on. even if you go and grab them and shake them, it's hard to switch people on to the right way of thinking and the right sort of consciousness, to shake down their ego, you know. I'm done with trying to enlighten the masses. Instead, I'm going to enlighten people like you that tune in, rather than those who are tuned out. Do you understand me? And as well, I'm done with dating. It's a waste of time. I'd rather not be intoxicated with it again. For now, after going through detox, more than one way, alcohol detox, cannabis detox, love detox, and then last week I had a minor relapse. I went on 2 dates and I drank, and I sat there and I thought, fuck me, this is boring, and it's costing me in more ways than one. And then the following week I felt rough, and I felt down, and I felt demoralised, and I thought, this is bad for the ego, it's bad for the spirit, it's bad for the consciousness. I mean, what have I got to do to meet a girl who's another hippie like I am? Somebody who I can connect to and be one soul in 2 bodies. What have I got to do to get out of this prison cell? I suppose I've got to free my mind first and go in search of the truth now that my ego is dead. My ego is dead. I murdered it with a rolling pin, and then I went and stuffed it in the cupboard under the stairs, and I was like, stay in there, dead ego, I don't want you no more. So now I'll just keep my alter ego for a bit. You got to become comfortable with being alone. And me as an individual, I've become very comfortable with being alone, and I've accepted that people are unreliable and that friends are few and far between. And these things, to me, that I talk about, they were like a rough skin that was itching me and itching me. It's like having dermatitis, these issues. And through spirituality and higher consciousness, I've found a lotion that stops me itching it, if you understand. I've adopted this new Chinese philosophy. It's called couldn't he give a shit. Remember that one? A Chinese philosophy called couldn't he give a shit. Right? I've gone through the consciousness and the awareness of thoughts and the renewal of the spirit and the ghost in the shell, which is something we all need to do. Become aware of the ghost that is in our shell. Because science just don't have an answer for us, for what it is. I mean, I said I was going to do a show about vegetarians and vegans this week, but the only bit I've put into my show this week is how pescatarians annoy me. When I was on that date and she said, oh, I'm a pescatarian, and then she starts going on this description about how animals die in the slaughterhouse and how fish don't have a consciousness. I'm like, yeah, they do. Every living fucking organism on this planet has a consciousness, whether it be fish or plant or fungus. Fungus is one of the most intelligent life forms on this planet. It's been proven. Fungus can find its way through the New York underground to food. They tested it. They put it in a little maze first and trained it to find where the food was, and then they put it in the real underground and it found where the food was. It remembered. Fungus is an intelligent organism. You go and pick that mushroom out of the ground, the rest of the mushrooms around it are upset. I'm serious. Everything's got a consciousness, whether it be a cow, a pig, or a fish. Insects, man, they've got it and all. You got to tune into it all and see the digital code of life, because we all run on a digital code. If you start taking bits out of your computer, or you start putting a virus into your computer, you're going to mess with the digital code. And that's what we're doing. We're messing with the digital code of the planet, and we're corrupting it, and we're not updating the software of the planet. You get me? The processor's running really slow now, and it's messing with the resonance and the frequency of everyone's mind. I think the message I'm trying to transmit to you all is stop worrying about who you are and see what's around you. Start loving each other, even if someone's a dick to you. My next door neighbour, I don't know if I told you this in last week's podcast, I decided to go and clear the snow off his drive and off his path. While I was out there talking to the other neighbour, who I also cleaned his path as well, the guy on the left came past, walked up his fresh drive, saw me with the spade in my hand, just looked away. And people said to me, oh Dwayne, why didn't you just go and put all the snow back on his door with a bit of dog shit as well? I said, because then that would make me as much of a dick as him. You see what I'm saying about loving people? this guy down the road with the barking Jack Russells. Sometimes I want to go and toe poke that Jack Russell and hit its mute button in its gut. But that would make me as much of a dick as him. Why would I want to take away the happiness? Why would I want to go and complain to the council about his dogs and take away his happiness that he gets from his dogs? Okay, this is what I'm saying. You've got to love people around you, and if we start loving everyone around us more, then they might start loving us back, and there might be some sort of give and take to how this works. Do you understand? Anyway, you've got to stop being so fucking judgmental, because you can't see through my eyes and I can't see through yours. And that's what you got to realise when you meet people. Don't judge their ego straight away. You'll never fully understand anyone. You'll never see things fully from anyone's perspective, even if you walk a mile in their shoes. Alright, so further reading and listening. Like I said earlier, go and switch on to some Carl Jung. That's spelt Jung like J-U-N-G, not young as in youth. Terence McKenna. I could listen to Terence McKenna all day. Anyone who says that psychedelics are bad for you, I'm sorry. Go and look up Terence McKenna and you'll understand that psychedelics are not bad. Psychedelics are not right for everyone. Like, you shouldn't give them to people with certain mental disorders. They're good for people who are schizophrenic, in fact. But they're not good for people who are anxious. But Terence McKenna's a genius, or was a genius, and he did it for 30 plus years. Every couple of years he would do a new hit of psychedelics, and then he would write it down, and he's one of the most intelligent people that ever lived. You know, I'm not saying you have to do psychedelics, but even Terence McKenna's theories are very similar to this discussion we've had today. It will stimulate your mind. If you're an intelligent person, go tune into some Terence McKenna. Jordan Peterson, I've only just getting into Jordan Peterson. Go and check him out. I won't say Sam Harris. Some of Sam Harris's stuff's alright, but I think he's a bit racist. That's what it is. I don't fully agree with everything Sam Harris says. I like some of his philosophies. Alan Watts, spelled W-A-T-T-S. Alan Watts is dead now, but I mean, he's one of the best philosophers who ever lived, especially in the last 100 years. It'll tickle your intellectual pickle a bit further. And like I say, these podcasts are only to stimulate your mind a bit further. They're not. I don't want to give you all the answers. I only want to put the idea in your mind to go and look things up further and get into the subject and the topic. Alright, shout outs. I want to give a shout out to my good mate Joe Taylor from college, who bothers to watch me program every week. And Joe, I will be taking on board the things you said last week. We are going to do an episode on time travel, and I'm going to do an episode on the environment and food production. That's the only shout out I've got for now. Shout out to everyone who tunes in. Much love. Anyone who wants to be a guest on the show, hit me up. If you want to do that as a video guest, I can arrange that. You can be a video guest on my show. We can do it through Skype, we can do it through phone. If you can't make it up to Gateshead to be on the show, and we'll have some interesting discussions. Next week, possibly, like I say, we'll do either the time travel one, or we'll do the environment and food production. I'm trying to stay away from politics. I'm trying to keep politics out of it for now, even though I know a lot about it. Actually, what date? What's the date? It's the 10th of March. Yeah, so there's a good discussion on in town soon about Marxism. So maybe it's after I've been to see that. I'll be in an echo chamber of what I've heard. I'll come back and we'll discuss politics and Marxism further. So we're coming up to the 40-minute mark, and that's all for now. And I want to say I love you very much. Think spiritually. Share the love. Share the love I give to you. Give me a hand to pull people back from that abyss. If someone's in need and in trouble, give them a bit of life coaching.